When Daniel Carter pulled his old pickup into the quiet town of Maple Ridge, Ohio, he had one goal: find a safe place for his 8-year-old son, Noah, to start over. Rain hammered the windshield as the wipers struggled to keep up. Behind him sat 3 years of lonely nights, cold lunches packed in silence, and a little boy who still woke calling for a mother who would never answer. Daniel had learned how to braid nothing because Noah refused to let anyone touch his hair. He had learned how to help with homework after 12-hour shifts on construction sites. He had learned how to smile when his chest felt empty. But the small apartment in Columbus had been sold out from under them. The rent had climbed beyond reach, and the only thing left was a better-paying job in this quiet town and a cheap motel room that smelled of disinfectant and regret. That rainy Friday evening, Daniel stopped at the local grocery store with Noah beside him. The boy clutched a box of cereal and suddenly froze. "Dad," he whispered, "isn't that the lady from your old pictures?" Daniel looked up. His heart nearly stopped. Standing near the bakery counter was Emma Brooks. His Emma, the girl who had once known every dream he carried before life tore them apart. 20 years earlier, they had been inseparable teenagers talking about college, marriage, children, and a little house with a porch. Then his father's job disappeared, forcing Daniel to leave town and work wherever he could. Emma went to college in another state. Letters stopped. Life moved on. Emma turned at that exact moment. Their eyes met. For several long seconds, neither of them moved. She was the first to approach. "Daniel." He managed an awkward smile. "Hi, Emma." She looked at Noah, then back at him. "I can't believe it's you." Noah stared curiously between them. "This is my son, Noah." Emma crouched slightly. "Hi, Noah. I'm Emma." The boy asked the question that made Daniel's stomach drop. "Are you Dad's old girlfriend?" Daniel nearly dropped the grocery basket. Emma laughed for the first time, and that familiar sound made his chest ache. "That's one way to put it," she said. They talked only a few minutes. Daniel kept the conversation short. He did not want her to see how far he had fallen. He did not want pity. Before they left, Emma slipped a card into his hand. "My husband and I used to run a small furniture business. I still have an office downtown. Come by sometime." Daniel nodded, certain he would never see her again. 3 days later, Emma walked into the construction company where he worked. She looked different now, more mature, more confident. Yet something familiar still lived in her eyes. "I heard you're looking for a place to live," she said. Daniel frowned. "Who told you that?" "Your supervisor. I asked about you." He felt the old pride rise. "Emma, I appreciate it, but I'm handling it." "I know you are. Then why are you here?" Emma took a slow breath. "Because I have a house." Daniel stared. "My husband passed away last year," she continued quietly. "The house has been empty since then. I've been trying to decide what to do with it." His expression softened. "I'm sorry." "Thank you." She glanced toward the truck where Noah waited. "You and your boy need a home. I have one. You can rent it from me for almost nothing until you get back on your feet." Daniel shook his head at once. "No. Daniel. No, Emma. I can't accept charity. It isn't charity." "It feels like it." Her eyes grew serious. "My husband left me financially secure. I don't need another house. That place is sitting empty while you and your son sleep in a motel." Daniel went silent. Outside, Noah watched them through the truck window. That night, Daniel barely slept. The next morning, he drove to Emma's house. It was an old but beautiful 2-story home with white siding, a wide porch, and a maple tree in the front yard. Noah ran through the rooms excitedly. "Dad, look! There's a backyard!" Daniel stood in the hallway, watching his son smile for the first time in weeks. He turned to Emma. "I'll take it." She smiled. "Good." Months began to pass. Daniel worked hard and slowly rebuilt his life. Noah settled into school, made friends, and joined Little League. For the first time since his mother's death, he stopped asking every night whether they would have to move again. Emma became part of their days in quiet, natural ways. She helped Noah with science projects. Noah helped her plant flowers. Daniel fixed what needed fixing around the house, and sometimes found excuses to stay longer after the repairs were finished. Yet fear lived under every good moment. He knew Emma had lost her husband. He knew grief had changed her. He was terrified of becoming nothing more than someone who filled an empty space. One evening he found her sitting alone on the porch. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just thinking." "About your husband?" Emma looked at him. "Sometimes." Daniel sat beside her. "I never want you to think I'm trying to replace him." Her eyes softened. "You're not." He looked down. "I cared about you once, Emma. A lot. And being around you again has brought those feelings back." She remained silent. Daniel stood. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that." "Daniel." He stopped. Emma rose from the chair. "I lost my husband," she said, "but I didn't lose my heart." Daniel looked at her, the porch light catching the quiet strength in her face. "I thought love was something I had to leave in the past," Emma continued. "Then you came back with a little boy who leaves baseballs all over my yard." Daniel laughed softly, the sound rough from disuse. Emma smiled through the tears that had gathered. "And somehow," she whispered, "my house doesn't feel empty anymore." He stepped closer. "Emma." She reached for his hand. "I'm not asking you to forget your wife, and I'm not asking Noah to forget his mother. I'm only asking whether we can build something new." Daniel squeezed her hand, the simple contact carrying more weight than any words. From inside the house came Noah's voice, bright and impatient. "Dad! Emma! The pizza's getting cold!" Emma laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in a long time. Daniel smiled. "Sounds like we have an invitation." They went inside together. The three of them sat around the kitchen table that night sharing pizza and easy talk. Noah told stories about school and practice. Emma listened as if every detail mattered. Daniel watched them both and felt something he had not allowed himself to feel in years, hope that did not come with a price tag of guilt. The days that followed settled into a new rhythm. Daniel continued working long hours, but the drive home no longer felt like returning to temporary walls. Noah thrived. His grades improved. He stopped waking from nightmares as often. On weekends, he dragged both adults into the backyard for catch. Emma's flowers began to bloom in bright colors along the fence. Daniel repaired the loose boards on the porch, and without being asked, built a simple wooden swing that hung from the thick branch of the maple tree. Noah claimed it at once, pumping his legs until the ropes creaked. Emma never pushed. She simply remained present, steady, kind and careful with the fragile places still healing in both father and son. Sometimes Daniel caught her watching Noah with a soft expression that made his throat tighten. Other times he found her standing in the quiet of the living room, fingertips resting on the back of a chair, lost in thought. He never asked what she was remembering. He only made sure the house stayed warm and the light stayed on. One Saturday afternoon, Noah came running from the backyard, dirt on his knees and a gap-toothed grin on his face. "Emma, look what I found." He held out a small, slightly dented baseball. "It was under the bush. Can we keep it?" Emma took the ball carefully, turning it in her hands. "Of course we can. Every good house needs a few baseballs lying around." Noah beamed and raced off again. Daniel, wiping his hands on a rag after fixing a loose shutter, met Emma's eyes. "He's happy here." "I know," she said. "So am I." The admission hung between them, honest and unadorned. That evening after Noah had gone to bed, they sat once more on the porch. The air smelled of cut grass and distant rain. Daniel spoke first. "I keep waiting for the day this starts to feel wrong, like I'm taking something that doesn't belong to me." Emma shook her head. You aren't taking. You're giving this house a reason to be a home again, and you're giving me a reason to believe the future still has room for more than memories. He reached for her hand without thinking. She laced her fingers through his. Neither of them needed to say more. Weeks turned into months. Little changes accumulated until the house no longer felt like a temporary arrangement. Noah's drawings covered the refrigerator. Emma's favorite books appeared on the living room shelves. Daniel's tools found a permanent place in the garage. Neighbors began to wave when they passed. At school events, Emma sat beside Daniel without anyone questioning the arrangement. When Noah hit his first solid single in Little League, both adults were on their feet, cheering. Later that night, Noah fell asleep, still wearing his jersey, the small trophy he had received clutched in one hand. Daniel stood in the doorway of the boys' room for a long time. Emma came to stand beside him. He's going to be all right, she said quietly. Because of you, Daniel answered. Because of both of us, she corrected. He turned to her then, the hallway light soft on her face. I don't want to rush anything. I need you to know that what I feel isn't gratitude. It's more than that. Emma's answer was simple. I know. I feel it too. They did not kiss that night. They simply stood together in the quiet house, two people who had lost much and somehow found their way back to the possibility of more. Outside, the maple tree whispered in the night breeze, and the swing Daniel had built moved gently, as if waiting for morning. A year later, the house looked completely different. Noah's baseball trophies filled a shelf in the living room. Emma's flowers covered the backyard in color. Daniel had repaired the old porch completely, and the swing beneath the maple tree had become a favorite place for quiet talks and loud laughter. On a warm summer evening, Daniel stood beside Emma, while Noah played in the yard, chasing fireflies with a jar and a determined grin. The air carried the scent of cut grass and distant barbecue. Crickets sang from the hedges. Everything felt settled, as if the house itself had exhaled after years of holding its breath. You know, Daniel said, voice low, when I first came here, I thought I was just looking for a house. Emma leaned against his shoulder, her hand finding his. And what did you find? He looked at her, then at Noah, racing across the lawn. A home. Emma smiled, the expression soft and sure. Because sometimes life takes people away from us. Sometimes it breaks the plans we once made. And sometimes, when we think our best days are already behind us, life quietly brings someone from our past back into our future. Daniel had driven into Maple Ridge searching for a place where his son could feel safe. Instead, he found the woman he had loved long ago. And Emma, the widow who believed her heart had closed forever, discovered that love could return, not to erase the past, but to give the future another chance. They had never tried to replace what was lost. They simply made room for what was still possible. Noah still kept a photograph of his mother on his nightstand. Emma still wore her late husband's watch on days when the memories felt heavy. Yet the three of them had built something new, something sturdy enough to hold both grief and joy. That summer evening stretched long and golden. Noah finally came running up the porch steps, jar full of blinking lights. Look how many I got! Emma knelt to admire them. They're beautiful, but we should let them go soon so they can find their friends. Noah nodded seriously. Okay, after I show Dad. He held the jar up for Daniel to see. Daniel ruffled the boy's hair, something Noah now allowed without protest, and said, Great work, buddy. Let's set them free together. The three of them walked into the yard. One by one the fireflies rose into the dusk, tiny lanterns disappearing among the trees. Noah watched until the last light vanished, then leaned against Emma's side. Can we do this every summer? Every summer, she promised. Later, after Noah had gone to bed, Daniel and Emma returned to the porch swing. The chains creaked softly. Stars appeared one by one above the maple tree. Daniel spoke into the quiet. I used to think the best parts of my life were already finished. Raising Noah alone felt like the only chapter left. Emma rested her head against him. I thought the same. After my husband died, I believed the rest of my years would be polite and empty. Then a little boy asked if I was his father's old girlfriend, and everything shifted. Daniel chuckled at the memory. He still tells that story at school. Good, Emma said. Some stories deserve to be told. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Finally, Daniel turned to her. I love you, Emma. Not because you gave us a house. Not because you helped my son smile again. I love you because somehow, after all the years and all the loss, we found our way back to each other. Emma's eyes shone. I love you too. And I love the life we're building. Messy baseballs, science projects, porch swings and all. He kissed her then, gentle and certain, under the same stars that had watched them as teenagers dreaming of a future they almost lost. In the months that followed, the house continued to fill with new memories. Noah's laughter echoed through the rooms. Emma's garden expanded. Daniel's hands stayed busy with small improvements that made the place truly theirs. Neighbors became friends. Holidays returned with light and noise instead of quiet ache. And every so often, when the three of them sat together on the porch as the sun went down, Daniel would look at Emma and Noah and feel the simple truth settle deep in his chest. He had come searching for walls and a roof. What he found was a family. If this story touched your heart the way it touched ours, make sure you subscribe to the Western Legend Stories. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another heartfelt tale of love, second chances, and the homes we build when life gives us another chance. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.